The rain had been falling since morning, the kind of slow, persistent drizzle that soaks through a jacket before you even realize it's happening. Daniel Mercer pulled his 6-year-old daughter, Lily, close as they pushed through the glass doors of Aurelius, the most prestigious restaurant in the city. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of small moments to change lives, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness True Stories. Also, tell us in the comments, where in the world are you watching from? He was not the kind of man who ate at places like this. He was a school janitor, 41 years old. With calloused hands and a second-hand blazer, he had ironed 3 times that morning. But today was different. Today was Lily's birthday. She had seen a photo of Aurelius in a magazine at the dentist's office 6 months ago and had whispered, "Daddy, that's the most beautiful place in the whole world." Daniel had remembered. He always remembered everything Lily said. He had saved for 4 months, skipping lunches, walking to work instead of taking the bus, selling his old guitar online. He wanted her to feel like a princess just once, in a place that looked like something from the fairy tales he read to her every night. They stood in the entrance, dripping slightly, Lily's eyes wide and glowing as she took in the crystal chandeliers, the white tablecloths, the soft golden light that made everything look like it belonged in a dream. She was wearing her best dress, a pale yellow one with tiny daisies, and she had let Daniel brush her hair into 2 careful braids that morning, sitting very still while he fumbled with the ribbons. The maître d' approached, and his expression shifted the moment he looked them over. It was a subtle thing, the kind of look people give when they have decided something without saying a word. His eyes traveled from Daniel's worn blazer to Lily's simple dress to the small paper bag Daniel carried with the birthday cupcake he had baked at midnight. "Do you have a reservation?" the man asked, his tone polite on the surface, but carrying an unmistakable edge beneath it. The kind of politeness that is really a wall. "Yes," Daniel said quietly. "Mercer, table for 2. The maître d' checked his book slowly, too slowly, running his finger down the page with theatrical care. "Ah," he said finally. "Yes, I see it. However, I'm afraid tonight we are expecting several very important guests, and our policy requires a certain standard of—" He trailed off, gesturing vaguely at Daniel's appearance. People at nearby tables had begun to glance over. A couple by the window whispered to each other. A group of well-dressed women looked up from their menus with expressions ranging from pity to amusement. Lily pressed closer to her father's side. She was 6, but she was not too young to feel the weight of the moment, the way the room seemed to tilt against them. She tugged Daniel's sleeve and whispered, "It's okay. Daddy, we can go somewhere else." And that was the moment. That small, selfless whisper from a little girl who did not want her father to feel embarrassed. Daniel felt something tighten in his chest, but before he could speak, a voice cut clearly across the restaurant. "Is there a problem here?" The room went still. At the corner table, the best table in the house, a woman had risen from her seat. She was perhaps 60, elegantly dressed, with silver hair and the kind of composed authority that required no announcement. Her name was Margaret Holt, and she was precisely the kind of woman the maître d' had been trying to please. All money and name on 3 buildings in the city, a woman whose family had founded the very bank that financed Aurelius itself. The maître d' straightened instantly. "Mrs. Holt, everything is perfectly fine. We were simply clarifying the reservation for these guests." Margaret walked over without hurrying. She looked at Daniel, then down at Lily, who stared up at her with cautious, searching eyes. Margaret crouched down to Lily's level, something that surprised everyone in the room, and said, "I love your dress. Yellow is my absolute favorite color." Lily blinked. "Mine too," she said softly. Margaret stood and looked at the maître d' with an expression that required no raised voice. "These are my guests," she said. "She's with me." 4 words. Calm, quiet, final. The maître d' opened his mouth, closed it, and then nodded with a rapid, uncomfortable smile. "Of course, Mrs. Holt, right this way." Daniel stood motionless for a moment, trying to understand what had just happened. Margaret turned to him and said simply, "Would you allow us to share the evening? I came alone tonight, and I find I much prefer company." They were seated at her table, the best in the room, by the window that looked out over the rain-washed street, with its golden reflections shimmering in every puddle. Lily pressed her nose briefly against the glass, then sat up very properly, making Daniel's heart ache with love. Over dinner, Margaret learned that Daniel had raised Lily alone since she was 8 months old, that her mother had passed away from an illness that moved too quickly for anyone to stop it, that Daniel read to Lily every single night without exception, and that Lily's favorite book was about a girl who befriended a dragon because she was kind to it when everyone else ran away. Lily learned that Margaret had lost her own daughter 20 years ago, that she came to this restaurant every year on her daughter's birthday because it had been her daughter's favorite place, and that she had been sitting alone at that corner table feeling the particular silence that only grief knows, until 2 people walked through the door in damp jackets and changed the atmosphere of the entire room. At the end of the evening, as Daniel carefully retrieved the slightly lopsided cupcake from his paper bag and pressed a single birthday candle into it, Margaret watched Lily close her eyes to make her wish. She did not ask what Lily wished for, but Lily opened her eyes, looked at Margaret and said, "I wished that you wouldn't be lonely anymore." The restaurant, that grand and glittering room full of important people, went very quiet. Margaret reached across the table and took the little girl's hand, and just like that, 4 calm words and 1 child's open heart had rewritten the evening for everyone in it. No amount of money, no name on a building, no crystal chandelier had done what Lily's yellow dress and Daniel's 4 months of saved bus fare had done. They had walked into a room that did not want them, and they had made it warmer for everyone inside. If this story reminded you that kindness costs nothing and changes everything, please give it a like, share it with someone who needs to hear it today, and subscribe to our channel, Kindness True Stories, for more real, heartfelt stories that restore your faith in humanity. Every story we share is a reminder that ordinary people do extraordinary things every single day.